I make a distinction between satire and topical comedy. Topical comedy is what we have in great profusion on American television right now. If you ever see the late night shows of Kimmel and Fallon and Colbert, and Trevor Noah, and Samantha Fecklessly Bee. You know the reference I'm making? Samantha Bee referred to. Yeah. Anyway, they engage in topical humor, and it's a great tradition of late night television. You find one particular characteristic that sort of sums up a president. Ronald Reagan was so dumb. George H.W. Bush had problems with the English language. Bill Clinton was horny as hell and hungry as hell. George W. Bush was dumb as hell. They didn't have one for Barack Obama because they liked him so much. And now this guy. And then you just write 8 or 10 jokes a night on variations on that particular theme. I think satire really deserves that name, needs to dig a little deeper and ask what these guys are doing and maybe even why. And, you know, it's important in the sense that, and this may be good or bad, depending on your point of view, it serves as a relief valve for a lot of the anger that at least some of the creators have, and maybe some of the audience does as well. Now, political activists would say, we don't want a release valve for that anger, we want to channel it in activism and voting and all that. So satire may be a negative force, I don't know. But I think that's the only social role it really has.
Okay. Speaking in terms of, like, you mentioned the different presidents and these different generations and everything, from your experience, which spans a lot of decades, successful satire.
Yes, I made fun of the dinosaurs, you know.
How has humor and satire changed? Like, have you noticed specific things in terms of...
Oh, I think the cultures, the general Western, or at least American and British culture, but more particularly American culture, has gotten coarser, looser, would be another way of putting it. More is permitted to say, although I have this contrary theory about that, which grows out of personal experience. Because I was with this comedy group in the 1970s, and we would make fun of racists because it's America. We got racists, and we were on radio, and we would depict racists talking the way racists talk. And at that same period of time, I got fired from a radio station that I was working at doing a comedy show. I did a sketch. No reason why I should go into why this word appeared in the sketch, but it did. For good and legitimate reasons, the word penis appeared in the sketch. I was fired for saying the word penis. Flash forward 20 years, the words that were spoken out of racists' mouths in satirical sketches were no longer allowed to be spoken on American broadcasting. But Howard Stern was getting $500 million a year for saying penis and vagina and all the rest of it. So this led me to a half-cocked theory that there is such a thing, maybe a third or fourth Newtonian law, the law of conservation of taboo, that there's always a same amount of taboo, but it just moves and attaches to different objects over time. So maybe that's all that's happened. You know, it's looser on some things and not as loose on others. But certainly, in terms of the sexual vocabulary that's available to comedy in general and satire, I mean, Samantha Bee would have gotten kicked off the air for saying what she said about Ivanka Trump 20 years earlier.
Even in the Simpsons movie, we saw Bart's penis temporarily, whether we wanted to or not. So there was that.
It wasn't really Bart's penis. It was a cartoon.